everyone. I'm Mary Bolash. I am very honored to have the opportunity to present at D2L Fusion this year. This is my third time back, and I love this event. Even though this event is virtual for me this year, I hope that this discussion facilitates continuous learning within your company. In the corporate world, training and knowledge sharing are often seen as non-essential, and they may even face budget cuts when times get tough. This presentation will offer strategies to prevent this. Drawing from my over 25 years of experience across 5 large companies, I hope to help you advocate for learning in a corporate setting. My presentation will be in 4 sections. The first section is about my story and how I became a knowledge guardian. The second section shares some threats to knowledge sharing, which I'm guessing some of you may have already encountered. The third section is about some strategies you can use to deal with these threats. These things work for me, and I hope they'll work for you too. The last section will help you think of yourself as a knowledge guardian also. You may be wondering how I became a knowledge guardian. The best way I can explain it is to share my story. I am the Engineering Learning and Development Officer for Carrier. I am from Manchester, Connecticut, which is about 10 minutes east of Hartford, Connecticut. My husband John and I have 2 amazing sons, Johnny and Billy. In my free time, I like to be creative, and to that end, I often paint, usually something that has to do with the ocean. That's probably because, as you will see as I share my story, my career is constantly changing, like the waves and the wind in the ocean, and I've had to learn to adjust. My energy and passion are around making a difference. To that end, I enjoy sharing what I know with others, and have had the good fortune to present at a few national conferences like this. I have a master's degree in organizational management and instructional design for online learning, and a PhD in adult learning with a focus on instructional design for online learning. I've spent most of my career at United Technologies, starting at Otis, then Pratt & Whitney, moving on to United Technologies Corporate, and through all of that, I was in human resources, learning and development. When I joined Hamilton Sundstrand, we actually became part of the engineering organization. This was the first of several steps I took outside my comfort zone. I was in engineering, not HR. It was scary for me because I am not an engineer. I'm sharing this with you because it is an important point in my journey to become a knowledge guardian. The first step is when I was asked to lead Hamilton Sundstrand University, or HSU, which was basically a grassroots effort to connect engineers to internal experts. Most of the learners were all located in 2 or 3 sites in the U.S. When Hamilton Sundstrand merged with Goodrich, we became UTC Aerospace Systems. Hamilton Sundstrand University transformed into something very different as well. Now the learners were dispersed all around the world. HSU had to transform in the same way that the company did. We became the Academy of Engineering Excellence, AEE. Our mission evolved and our structure became formalized. There were so many changes happening, but we made it through. I'll talk more about that later. From there, through another merger with Rockwell Collins a few years later, UTAS and Rockwell Collins became Collins Aerospace, and our internal university became Collins Aerospace Technical University, known as CATU. Shortly after that, Raytheon and our parent company, United Technologies, had a merger. So any of you that have been through the organizational changes like this can probably relate to the challenges which come with that level of organizational change. I joined Carrier in September of 2020. Over the last few years, there have been some pretty significant changes here too. I hope to help you as I share my story, including the obstacles that I have encountered and how I have learned to become a knowledge guardian. A lot of what I will share with you is what I've learned from others, and some are things I've learned on my own. Let's talk about obstacles in the next section, and then I'll share some tools that I have used to help work through the obstacles. Have you ever had to rework a knowledge sharing initiative because it became outdated before most of your target population had gone through it? Have you ever chosen a method for training communication only to find out that it didn't work for your audience? Have you ever had a training initiative that didn't achieve the desired outcome within the learner population? The learners went through the training, but their behavior didn't change. How about those classes where learners are present but not engaged? If you have experience in a learning and development environment, I'm sure you have experienced at least one of these obstacles, and if you haven't, you will. So the question is, how do we overcome them? Before we go on, let's take a second to think about this quote from Superman. Does it resonate with you? It definitely does with me. As we know, many training or knowledge sharing events will likely encounter the obstacles we just discussed. I'd like to share 6 ways I have found helpful to eliminate or minimize the impact of those obstacles. These aren't the only ways to address obstacles. If you have things that work for you, please be sure to share them. For me, the first thing that helped me align learning with strategic initiatives was to actually become organizationally aligned with my customer. Moving from HR into engineering when I joined Hamilton Sundstrand was very scary for me, but as I look back, it was one of the best things that could have happened. It helped me to know what my immediate customer strategic initiatives were. In fact, whenever you can learn about your organizational initiatives firsthand, you will also find great opportunities for sharing knowledge which is needed by the organization. Town hall meetings, staff meetings, and company communications are key resources to plug into. Look for opportunities where you can help the organization to become familiar with the strategic initiatives. Similarly, be aware of organizational changes, since change management almost always requires communications and training. Even if someone else owns the overall training program for the strategic initiative, it may be a good idea to see if your team needs training from a niche perspective. For example, if HR owns the initiative for rolling out a career ladder to the entire company and you are in the engineering organization, it may be a good idea to work with HR and put something together about what the new career ladder means to engineers, what changes for them, what stays the same. In summary, look to strategic organizational initiatives as a source of knowledge that needs to be shared and a way to add value. Businesses are constantly evolving, and their ability to adapt quickly and effectively is what keeps them competitive. Change may be driven by market shifts, geopolitical factors, mergers and acquisitions, or new organizational structures and leadership priorities. Sometimes it arrives suddenly, and sometimes it unfolds through careful planning over many, many months. No matter how or when it appears, change is inevitable, and it will almost certainly shape the knowledge-sharing initiatives underway. To remain relevant and create lasting value, I have found several approaches to be especially effective. The first step is to embrace the reality that change will come and to see adaptability as a strength. Just as the businesses must evolve, so must we. At the same time, strong, well-documented processes create the foundation that makes agility possible. While that may seem counterintuitive, clear processes enable teams to flex resources with confidence, allow others to step in when priorities shift, and to make it easier to onboard new team members. When your processes are well documented, you can respond to change with purpose instead of uncertainty. It is equally important to stay closely connected to those who understand the change the best. Every change creates a need for meaningful sharing of knowledge, and the more deeply you understand what is changing, when it will happen, and who it will affect, and why it matters, the better equipped you will be to respond. With that understanding, you can design thoughtful, relevant learning solutions that help people navigate change with confidence. A clear plan to deliver those solutions to the right populations ensures that your efforts not only inform, but also inspire action and readiness. Although it may seem straightforward, learner engagement is sometimes overlooked. One of the most essential requirements for successful knowledge sharing is ensuring that the learners are actively engaged. In a corporate setting, this means designing courses so that they align with established adult learning principles. Knoll's adult learning theory offers a valuable framework for doing so. Adults bring a lifetime of experience that serves as a foundation for new learning. Effective training programs recognize and build on that knowledge and the skills that the learners already possess. As people mature, they become more independent and value self-directed learning. Adult learners often appreciate having choices about what they learn, when they learn it, and how they engage with the material. Adult learners need to understand the reason for learning before they fully engage with new content. They are more likely to participate when they see why the learning matters and how it will benefit them. Adults show a strong readiness to learn when the content helps them achieve their goals or perform relevant tasks. Throughout the learning experience, it is important to make the value of the instruction clear to the learner. Adults want learning to apply to their everyday lives, which is why they respond to a problem-solving focus rather than a subject-centered focus. As people mature, they are increasingly motivated to learn for personal reasons. This internal motivation, often called intrinsic motivation, varies by individual and can strongly influence engagement. To create an effective knowledge-sharing ecosystem, you want to have senior-level championship and support. It is ideal if you have this support when you launch your knowledge-sharing initiative. In my experience, the times when my knowledge-sharing initiative was most successful was when I had the executive sponsor for the initiative. In two cases, at the different companies, the executive believed in the power of learning to transform the organization. In both cases, they believed that investing in their people ensured a more motivated population. The role of the champion is to encourage learners to take courses and complete curricula, and in my case, to encourage internal experts to also teach courses and create courses in order to share their knowledge. These leaders spoke about the initiative at town hall meetings, but at smaller meetings too, like staff meetings. They encouraged me to reach out and connect with other leaders. In doing so, I learned about their concerns and the places where they felt they had knowledge or performance gaps. Using this knowledge, I was able to create content that was relevant and helpful to the organization and build my own credibility. Be sure to share successes with your sponsors and other leaders and with the organization in a timely manner. A key concept I want to emphasize is the importance of choosing the right tools and the right delivery methods from the organizational level down to the individual courses. At the organizational level, this includes selecting tools to manage the course catalog, track learner data such as enrollments and completions, and support content creation and learner engagement. In some cases, a single platform such as Brightspace can handle all of these functions. In others, a combination of tools is needed. The best choice depends on the size of the organization, its needs and requirements, and any existing infrastructure constraints. At the course and curriculum level, selecting the right tools and the right delivery methods is just as important, considering the following guidelines. For a large global audience with travel restrictions and a need for real-time interaction with the instructor, consider synchronous virtual learning. For a large global audience with travel restrictions and no need for real-time instructor interaction, consider asynchronous virtual learning. If the content must be offered in multiple languages, virtual delivery, either synchronous or asynchronous, can be an effective option. If most learners are in one location, and the objectives are best achieved through in-person instruction, such as CPR training. Consider the synchronous on-site delivery as a possibility. If learners need flexibility in how they explore content to meet the learning objectives, consider asynchronous virtual delivery. If networking is a critical part of the learning experience, consider synchronous delivery, either virtual or in person. Whenever overcoming a location constraint is a priority, consider virtual delivery, either synchronous or asynchronous. The most important advice I can offer is to ensure that your knowledge-sharing initiatives deliver clear value to the learners, the organization, instructors and course designers, and other key stakeholders. Identify knowledge and performance gaps proactively and address them with relevant, effective learning solutions. Stay closely aligned with your organization's needs. Keep your customers, who are often internal employees, at the center of every decision and action. Be creative and open to designing innovative learning solutions that engage learners and help them achieve learning objectives and program goals. Establish and monitor key metrics to support continuous improvement and measure the effectiveness of your efforts. Think about your experience. Have you ever encountered obstacles to creating or enhancing knowledge sharing? Think about what you did. Do you think any of these ideas that we talked about today could help you? Think about what you need to do to become a knowledge guardian. Chances are you probably already are a knowledge guardian. You just don't think of yourself that way. If you start to consider yourself as a knowledge guardian, you'll see all kinds of opportunities open up to you in terms of making your organization better and stronger. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or ideas you'd like to share. My email is mary.bolash@carrier.com.